Hello, this is Elias' work for the peh-chahch-ka presentation. And for my presentation, I'm going to be doing something about progress, or more specifically, how it affects both our civilization and the pitfalls that we're likely to fall into in its pursuit. Now, there was once a very smart guy named Stephen Hawking more specifically, who said, "Look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see, and wonder about what makes the universe exist. Be curious." Now I think this is a very good quote, and an important one. Because, frankly, discovery is humanity's most basic drive. It is what creates everything around us, and what has created everything around us. Humans, as a species, will always strive towards discovery. Now, the question is, how does this happen? Well, it happens by a process of reexamination. As this chart shows, you start with a theory, you make a hypothesis about the theory, then you make a verifiable prediction, and based on whether it's true or false, you modify your theory or refine your hypothesis. This is how the scientific method works, and the result is progress, be it technological, scientific, or otherwise. Now, by extension, we reform our scientific theories to the point where we weed out inaccuracies. But why is it that some ideas just won't die? Well, it has a lot to do with dragons. And here's why. The dragon is a perfect example of a human trend. They are, in a sense, the perfect example of how our minds work, for better or worse. They have a lot to do with fire, which it burns, and it is also one of the first and most devious hazards that we, as a very early species, faced, partially because stepping in it will kill you painfully. On the other side of that equation, we also have lizards, or snakes, really, which we have just a very basic instinctual fear of, because, given the time period, getting bitten by one would probably kill you. There wasn't exactly modern medicine. Now, the combination of these two is what makes the dragon, which appears in essentially every culture's mythology. They're a vestigial fear, and though we no longer fall prey to them, though they're no longer relevant in that sense, we will not let go of this idea. And the reason for this is because they have become something ingrained in our cultures, and our brains are lazy. Once they get an idea, they don't want to stop thinking it, because that requires work on the brain's part. Now, evolutionarily, this is a good thing, but societally, not so much. Stability tempts us not to re-examine our theories, which breaks the circle of the scientific method. Not a good thing at all. That's why you have things like massive conspiracy theories and such, because once the brain gets an idea, it would like to keep it. Now, this isn't usually healthy, because the path to progress starts with self-examination. We must understand this tendency towards stagnation, and we have to reject it consciously. That way, we can really start to make genuine progress. We have to continue things that have already started, to go on into the future, not only for our own sakes, but for the sake of the species that we, well, compose. Because if we don't go on, we cannot create the world that we wish to live in. At the same time, we cannot forget the lessons of the past, because those unable to learn from history will inevitably repeat it. Now, in the case of large-scale wars and such, this is something that I think we can all stand to not do. And I think everyone would pretty much agree with that. That said, there is value even in half-truths. For instance, in Eastern medicine, an herb is used that was just lately found to possibly be able to cure certain type of cancers. It's interesting, you should look it up. In any case, however, whilst we will always find things to discount, we can never stop learning. It is imperative that we stay on the track of keeping our minds open, because the second that you discount something, you lose the ability to strike a balance between wonder and rationalism. Now, wonder is what helps us get our ideas, whatever their source may be, but rationalism is what helps us refine them. And only a refined idea can really effectively communicate. In the middle of rationalism and wonder lies discovery. And this is the goal, because the more that we as a species discover, the more we will be able to influence the world around us. Now, some may argue this isn't always a good thing, but regardless of good or evil, it is infinite. We have the ability, as long as we exist, to expand, to make technological improvement and scientific improvement. The sky is not the limit. We have proved that. We just landed a probe on a comet. So now the only real step left is to see where it takes us. We have a duty to use our potential, and if we do, maybe progress will tie its shoes. Let's just put it that way. This has been Elias Work, and this has been my peh-chahch-ka. Goodbye.